ears, just make them. Yeah, so the discussion never really got started yesterday. It was kind of a slow day in Discord and the world. You know, I feel like everybody had a case of Mondays on Tuesday, and apparently I have the case of not knowing what day it is today. But there was an open discussion yesterday about how does someone define perfection? Because I subscribe to the idea that perfection itself would be a flaw. But that being said, a lot of people still think that it is possible, and a lot of people think that you could achieve perfection through X, Y, or Z. And so I was thinking that maybe there should be an open discussion about how to define perfection, even though I don't think it actually exists. And so, pardon me. And so that being said, my own personal thoughts is that if I had to define something like perfection, I would have to say that the main facet of perfection is the fact that people want whatever they're trying to make perfect to be satisfying to them and awe-inspiring to others. And on top of both of those things, not being able to find any flaw in the awe-inspiring or self-satisfying result. Now, the big issue I always draw with this is, if you ever do that, you have no reason to do that thing again, ever. Like, if you're a runner and you run a 3-minute mile, and it's like the fastest a human body could do. If you ran a 3-minute mile, you did it perfect, you had perfect form all the way through, no questions asked, you were perfect for that 3-minute mile. Why would you continue to run? And this is really where I get to the point where I have a kind of a, not a crisis, but just a really strong opinion on things, because it's just like, you can't say to anybody, okay, you did it perfect, because then you take away that strive, that desire to do better. It's like, no, you did it perfect, you're done, fine, move on. That should never be anyone's mentality, because you can always do better, you can always improve, you can always make something more functional than it was when you tried it. So I can loosely define perfection, but I still think it loses meaning, because if you ever get a perfect anything, you have no reason to do that thing ever again. It's like, could you imagine if someone walked up to Leonardo da Vinci and was like, no, you painted Mona Lisa, it's perfect painting. Like, could you imagine if someone had said that to him? No, Leonardo was a very smart man. I highly doubt he would have just been like, oh, thanks, Bob, I'm just never going to paint again. But that doesn't change the fact that you're still robbing him of striving to do better. Like, he might disagree with you, but in the back of his mind, he's still going to have that, oh, well, Bob said it was perfect, do I really have to bother? And then eventually, it just wears on him. It's like, oh, well, I'm doing all this stuff, but, Bob said I already did perfect. It's a horrible thing to do to anyone. So I just don't think it's possible. But, I could be wrong. I welcome the ability to be wrong, just because if you can't be wrong, I think you're going to have a fundamental issue out in the real world, because the second you remove the ability to be wrong and to question your own actions, I mean, you kind of just become an arrogant jerk face. Because I mean, really, at that point, you're not even questioning like if you're right or wrong. You're just blatantly saying, well, I don't have to listen to anybody because my ideas are better than theirs, and that's dangerous. Because everyone has something to bring to the table, no matter who you are or who they are. Everyone has something to bring to the table. And that's kind of why I want to like turn my stream into these kind of open discussion. Let's talk about this, that, and the other while I'm just playing games, because it's like the game's fine, and you know, if somebody asks questions, I'll teach them about the game or we'll talk about the game. But at the end of the day, it's so much more valuable to have a discussion about any topic that the world is considering valuable, invaluable, controversial, whatever. Because it's like, yeah, we can play games. We can play games all day, but what are we doing when we're playing those games? Are we making the world a better place? Am I just sitting here while you watch me and hopefully, you know, you get something out of watching my gameplay? It's like, that's pointless, you know? So, you know, the question stands, you know, like, how do you define perfection?